Dear children, good morning. This week I am going to teach you sixth lesson, the 100 dresses part 2. Of course, last week I taught you the first part in my YouTube video. Actually, 100 dresses is a story of three girls. Actually, Peggy made fun of Vanda, her name and about her dress. Vanda told a lie about 100 dresses. But at the end of the first part, the teacher Miss Mason announced that in the drawing competition, Vanda Petronsky won the medal because she had drawn 100 designs, all different and beautiful. But for their shock, Vanda did not come to receive the medal. Why? Why Vanda didn't come to school? With that $1,000,000 question, we stopped the lesson. Now let us continue part 2, the 100 dresses. While the class was circling the room, the monitor from the principal's office brought Miss Mason a note. The leader from principal office brought a circular or a note. Miss Mason read it several times and studied it thoughtfully for a while, for some few seconds. Then she clapped her hands. Why she clapped her hands? Let us see. Attention, class, everyone back to their seat. Come on, every one of you go back to your seat, said the teacher. When the shuffling of feet, the movement sound, feet had stopped and the room was still and quiet. Miss Mason said, I have a letter from Vanda's father that I want to read to you. Actually, Vanda's father wrote a letter to the school and children. Miss Mason stood there a moment and the silence in the room grew tense and expectant. All were expecting to listen. The teacher adjusted her glasses slowly and deliberately, that is purposefully, to stimulate their interest. Her manner indicated that what was coming, this letter from Vanda's father, was a matter of great importance. Everybody listened closely as Miss Mason read the brief note. Listen closely means listening very, very attentively. Dear teacher, my Vanda will not come to your school anymore. Jack also. Now we move away to big city. No more holler Bullock. No more ask why funny name. Plenty of funny names in the big city. Yours truly, Jan Petronsky. A small letter written by Vanda Petronsky's father. A deep silence met the reading of this letter. Everybody kept quiet. Miss Mason took off her glasses again, blew on them and wiped them on her soft white handkerchief. Then she put them over again and looked at the class. When she spoke, her voice was very low. Dear children, I am sure that none of the boys and girls in the room 13 would purposely and deliberately, already I told you, on purpose or purposefully hurt anyone's feelings because his or her name happened to be long and unfamiliar one. So the teacher told her belief. I prefer to think that what was said in thoughtlessness. I know that all of you feel the way I do, that this is a very unfortunate thing to have happened. Unfortunate and sad both. And I want you all to think about it. So children, hereafter don't talk about the name, don't make fun. If it has happened, it is you have done thoughtlessly, it is very unfortunate. The teacher finished her talk. The first period was a study period. Maddie tried to prepare her lessons, but she could not put her mind on her work. She had a very sick feeling, very sad, in the bottom of her stomach. True, she had not enjoyed listening to Peggy ask Wanda how many dresses she had in her closet. When Peggy asked, Maddie was keeping quiet, but she had said nothing. She had stood by silently. That was just as bad as what Peggy had done was. She had a cupboard. She was afraid. At least Peggy had not considered they were being mean. But she, Maddie, had thought they were doing wrong, but she could put herself in Vanda's shoes. In Vanda's shoes means she kept quiet because she did not want to fight with Peggy. She was keeping quiet. Goodness, wasn't there anything she could do? If only she could tell Wanda she hadn't meant to hurt her feelings. She turned around and stole a glance at Peggy, but Peggy did not look up. She seemed to be studying hard. She wanted to say something to Peggy, but Peggy was studying hard. Well, whether Peggy felt badly or not, she, Maddie, her friend, had to do something. She had to find Wanda Petronsky. Maybe she had, if they were moving, if they didn't move means she wanted to go and meet Wanda to console her or ask apology. Maybe Peggy would climb the heights with her and they would tell Wanda she had won the contest. They wanted to go and inform that Wanda Petronsky won the drawing competition. They wanted to inform her that they thought she was smart and the 100 dresses were beautiful. When school was dismissed in the afternoon, Peggy said with pretended casualness, "Hey, Maddie, come on, let's go and see if that kid has left town or not." So, what Maddie thought, the same thing was thought by Peggy. She said they would go to see whether Wanda is still there in Bohin Heights. So, Peggy had the same idea. Maddie glowed, was very happy. Peg was really all right. The two girls hurried out of the building, up the street toward Bogin's Heights, the part of town that wore such a forbidding air on this kind of a November afternoon. Of course, drizzling, damp and dismal. Of course, it is somewhat wet and sad. Damp and dismal means wet and sad. Here expressing a state of hopelessness. Well, at least, said Peggy, gruffly means roughly, I never did call her a foreigner or make fun of her name. She was in a way happy. I never thought she had the sense to know we were making fun of her anyway. I never made her understand that she was mocking or she was making fun of her. I thought she was too dumb. And gee, look how she can draw. Pah, what a wonderful drawings. Maddie could say nothing. All she hoped was that they would find Wanda. They wanted to see Wanda in her house. She wanted to tell her that they were sorry. They wanted to ask apology to Wanda. They had picked on her and how wonderful the whole school thought she was. And please not to move away and everybody would be nice. she and Peggy would fight anybody who was not nice. So all this thinking, all these ideas were going around the mind of Maddie. Everything will be all right. They wanted to request Wanda that she should not go away from that school. The two girls hurried on. They hoped to get to the top of the hill before dark. I think that is where the Petronskis live. She showed a house, small house, said Maddie, pointing to a little white house, wisps of old grass stuck up here and there along the pathway. Wisp means a few pieces of grass, like thin kittens. The house and its sparse means a small area, little yard looked shabby but clean. Somewhat it looking like very old but very clean. It reminded Maddie of Vanda's own dress, that is looking like her dress, her faded blue cotton dress. Shabby, the dress also was shabby but clean. There was not a sign of life about the house. Peggy knocked firmly on the door. Peggy knocked the door, but there was no reply, no answer. She and Maddie went around to the backyard and knocked there. Still there was no answer. There was no doubt about it. The Petronskis were gone. How could they ever make amends? So to show that make amends means to show that one is sorry by doing something good. They turned slowly and made their way back down the hill. So unfortunately, Peggy and Maddie could not see Wanda. Well, anyway, said Peggy, she has gone now. So what can we do? Besides, when I was asking her about all her dresses, she probably was getting good ideas for her drawings. Probably means certainly. When that is what convincing or consoling herself by saying, when Peggy asked about their dress, she got an idea to draw 100 designs. She might not even have won the contest otherwise. That means Peggy only stimulated her imagination. Maddie turned this idea carefully over in her head, for if there were anything in it, she would not have to feel so badly. But that night, she could not get to sleep. He went home. Maddie was unable to sleep. She thought about Wanda and her faded blue dress and the little house she had lived in. And she thought of the glowing picture those 100 dresses made all lined up in the classroom. All came in her mind. She was totally disturbed. At last, Maddie sat up in the bed and pressed her forehead tight in her hands and really thought. This was the hardest thinking she had ever done. After a long time, she reached an important conclusion. She was never going to stand by and say nothing again. She took a decision. If she ever heard anybody picking on someone because they were funny looking or because they had strange names, she would speak up. If anybody is making fun of others about their name or funny looking, she's going to fight with them. Even if it meant losing Peggy's friendship. If he speaks anything wrong about other children, she's going to fight with her, even if she loses Peggy's friendship. She had no way of making things right with Wanda. But from now on, she would never make anybody else that unhappy again. So that was the decision taken by Maddie in the night. On Saturday, Maddie spent the afternoon with Peggy. They were writing a letter to Wanda Petronsky. It was just a friendly letter telling about the contest and telling Wanda she had won. So they decided to write a letter to Wanda about her success in the drawing competition. They wanted to inform her. They told her how pretty her drawings were. How pretty her drawings were. They wanted to explain. And they asked her if she liked where she was living and if she liked her new teacher. They wanted to know whether she liked the new place and the new teacher, new school. They had meant to say they were very sorry, but ended up with their just writing a friendly letter, the kind they would have written to any good friend. See, they completed the letter and they signed it with lots of X, which means love. They mailed the letter to Bogin's Heights, writing on the top, "Please forward" on the envelope. They hoped the letter would reach Vanda Petronsky. Days passed and there was no answer, but the letter did not come back also. So maybe Vanda had received it. Perhaps she was so hurt and angry, she was not going to answer. You could not blame her. Weeks went by and still Vanda did not answer. Peggy had begun to forget the whole business, and Maddie put herself to sleep at night making speeches about Vanda, defending her from great crowds of girls who were trying to tease her with "How many dresses have you got?" all nightmare. She is having a lot of dreams. And before Vanda could press her lips together in a tight line, the way she did before answering, Maddie could cry out. She used to cry, "Stop! Stop!" Then everybody would feel ashamed the way she used to feel. Now, it was Christmas time and there was snow on the ground. Christmas bells and a small tree decorated the classroom. On the last day of school before the holidays, the teacher showed the class a letter she had received that morning. "You remember Vanda Petronsky, dear children? Do you remember Vanda Petronsky, the gifted little artist who won the drawing contest? Well, she has written me and I am glad to know where she lives, because now I can send her medal. I want to read her letter to you." So the teacher Mason started reading the letter to the entire class. The entire class sat up with a sudden interest and listened intently, very eagerly. Intently means eagerly. "Dear Miss Mason, how are you, ma'am? And how room 13 is? Please tell the girls they can keep those 100 dresses. All the designs they can have. Because in my new house I have 100 new ones all lined up in my closet." That means she might have drawn 100 dresses again. "I would like that girl Peggy to have the drawing of the green dress with the red trimming, and your friend Maddie to have the blue one." So she was ready to give as a gift, Christmas gift. "For Christmas, I miss that school and my new teacher does not equalize with you. Merry Christmas to you and everybody. Yours truly, Vanda Petronsky." That is a beautiful letter written by Vanda Petronsky. On the way home from school, Maddie and Peggy held their drawings very carefully. Both of them are carrying the painting presented by Vanda to them. All the houses had wreaths and holly in the windows. Outside the grocery store, hundreds of Christmas trees were stacked, and in the window, candy peppermint sticks and cornucopias, that means decorative containers of shiny transparent paper, were strung. Strung means hanging there. The air smelled like Christmas and light shining everywhere reflected different colors on the snow. They are going to celebrate the birth of their God, Jesus Christ. "Boy," said Peggy, she was calling Maddie in that way, "this shows she really likes us." That means Vanda does not hate them. She really likes us. It shows she got our letter, and this is her way of saying that everything is all right, and that is that. "I hope so," said Maddie sadly. She felt sad because she knew she would never see the little tight-lipped Polish girl again and couldn't ever really make things right between them. Of course, they are not going to meet Vanda Petronsky again in their life. That's what Maddie thought. She went home and she pinned her drawing over a torn place in the pink flowered wallpaper in the bedroom. The shabby room came alive from the brilliancy of the colors drawn by Vanda. Maddie sat down on her bed and looked at the drawing for a long time. She had stood by and said nothing, but Vanda had been nice to her anyway. See, they were making fun of Vanda, but Vanda gifted them the paintings. Tears blurred her eyes. Tears actually closed her eyes, making less clear her vision. And she gazed for a long time at the picture. Then hastily she rubbed her eyes and studied the picture intently. Intently means very eagerly, deeply. The colors in the dress were so vivid, colors were very, very strong, that she had scarcely noticed the face and head of the drawing. But it looked like her, Maddie. Oh, what a surprise! Above the dress, she could see her own face. It really looked like her own mouth. Why, it really looked like her own self. Oh my God, Vanda had really drawn this for her. Excitedly, now only she observed that above the dress, the head was drawn by Vanda. That face was 100% resembling the face of Maddie. So, she was running excitedly, ran over to Peggy's. Peg, she said, let me see your picture, come on, show me. Hey, what is the matter? Asked Peggy, as they clattered up to her room where Vanda's drawing was lying face down on the bed. Maddie carefully raised it. Come on, look. Peggy, look at the picture she drew, you. That's you, she exclaimed. And the head and the face of this picture did look like Peggy. Oh my God, what a pleasant surprise. What did I say? Said Peggy. By drawing your face and my face, she must have really liked us. Anyway, she totally, Vanda Petronsky, gave apology. She liked us. She was not at all hating us. Yes, she must have, agreed Maddie, and she blinked away the tears, removed the tears that came every time she thought of Vanda standing alone in that sunny spot in the schoolyard, looking stolidly over at the group of laughing girls after she had walked off, after she had said, sure, 100 of them all lined up. So that is the end of the story. We must know from the lesson, a wonderful lesson, that we should not mock someone's helplessness or their poverty. Instead of that, we should find out the skills of the person and appreciate him or her. Here I remember Mir Khan's film, Hindi film, Tare Zameen Par. The teacher is identifying the talent of a boy who was actually even blamed and scolded by his own parents. The hero, the teacher, Amir Khan, I think, is finding out the drawing skill of the boy and bringing out his wonderful skill. This lesson slowly reminds me the Hindi movie. Okay, children, I hope you all have understood. After listening, after seeing this YouTube video, read the lesson once again. That is end of the story, 100 Dresses Part 2. After listening this, take your pink guide I have given to you. Read the summary, question answers. All the best.